A Reddit user died in 2009, that much is certain. What isn't certain is what he had been running. Hidden inside an image hosting website. Buried in the source code where nobody was supposed to look. Investigators found coordinates, code names, encrypted messages hidden inside photographs, and something that looked, to the people who found it, like the architecture of a covert operation. Nobody was charged. The site is still registered. And in 2018 a post appeared on Reddit. 2 words. Stop looking. His username was Religion of Peace. Most people called him Milo. He had been active on Reddit since the early days, posting about violence, military history, politics, and a deep contempt for what he called the soft world. He claimed to be a veteran. Korean War. Combat experience going back to 1947. His posts weren't popular, but they were consistent. For years he showed up every few days. Then on July 14, 2009, he posted for the last time. He didn't say goodbye. He didn't explain. He just stopped. The next day, a new account appeared. Username 2-6. 1 post. It said that Religion of Peace was dead. That's when people started looking. Milo had a website. He'd linked to it over the years, casually, the way someone drops a personal page into a post. The site was called LakeCityQuietPills.com. On the surface, it was an image host. Unremarkable. The kind of place where people uploaded photographs to share in forums. But the name wasn't unremarkable. The name is where this starts to fracture. Lake City Quiet Pills comes from the Lake City Army Ammunition Plant in Missouri. Since 1968, the plant's informal tagline had been this: dispensing Lake City quiet pills to lousy bastards in need of permanent rest. Quiet pills. That's slang for bullets. This man, this veteran who spent years posting about combat, death, and the soft world, had named his image hosting website after a phrase that meant bullets, and then he died. The people who followed the 2-6 announcement started digging. They weren't investigators. They were Reddit users with enough technical knowledge to look past the surface. And inside the HTML source code of LakeCityQuietPills.com, they found something that shouldn't have been there. Hidden text. Invisible to the naked eye. Buried in the markup where no visitor would ever look. When they extracted it, what came out were names. Code names. GPS coordinates. References to locations in Africa, the Middle East, Eastern Europe. But that wasn't the deepest layer. The site hosted photographs. Ordinary photographs, landscapes, sunsets, nothing that would make you look twice. But investigators ran those images through steganography tools, software that detects information hidden within image files at the pixel level, invisible to anyone who doesn't know it's there. What they found inside the photographs were messages, instructions, dates, references to packages and delivery. This is where we get to the real story. What they had uncovered wasn't a website, it was infrastructure. A dead-drop communication system. Encrypted messages disguised as holiday photographs, hosted on a low-traffic site with a bullet slang name, run by a man who was dead, whose death had been announced by someone who then went completely silent. That is not an image hosting site. That is a system. 6 months after Milo's final post, a new message appeared, traced back to the same network. It was a recruitment post. Groups of 8 to 10 people, fluent in specific languages, willing to travel internationally to deliver packages. Delivering packages. 3 weeks later, on January 19, 2010, a Hamas military commander named Mahmoud al-Mabhouh was found dead in a Dubai hotel room. The killing was professional. No forced entry. No struggle. The team used forged passports from 6 different countries. 26 operatives identified on CCTV. No organization claimed responsibility. The theory that LCQP was connected to that assassination was investigated and set aside. The timing was coincidental. The connection couldn't be established. But the recruitment post was never explained. The coordinates were never identified. The code names were never matched to real individuals. Over the years, researchers kept coming back. Former military, journalists. The domain changed ownership 4 times. In 2011, CNN reported on the site, though the coverage went sideways and became about something else entirely. The trail kept going cold. And then, in 2018, a post appeared in one of the active Reddit threads still trying to piece the story together. The account had no history, no post record, nothing that traced back to anyone. The post said 2 words. Stop looking. Not a legal notice, not a moderator action, not a threat. Just 2 words from nowhere and then silence. Nobody knows who sent it. Nobody knows if it was a joke. Nobody knows if it was a warning. And here is the final detail. Religion of Peace is dead. Angel 26. The account that announced his death, tied to the encrypted messages, the coordinates, and the recruitment post, is also reported dead. The 2 people most connected to whatever this was are both gone. The website is still registered. The domain is still live. A dead man's image host. Coordinates to locations that were never publicly identified. A recruitment network that was never traced. And someone, somewhere, who knew enough about the investigation to tell it to stop. That is not a conspiracy theory. That is a website, still live, accessible to anyone who types the URL, hidden in plain sight. Since 2009. If any part of this story connects to something you've seen, a thread, a post, something that didn't make sense, leave it in the comments. This is the kind of investigation where the audience sometimes knows more than the investigator. And if you want to know what other signals are still out there, make sure to subscribe.